Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Steve sent me a story. I said, Steve, check out the headline. Mayor of town charged with attempted murder after road rage shooting. No, I'm not laughing at the attempted murder. I'm laughing at the fact that the mayor of a town is the one who's been charged with the attempted murder. You'd think, if you're the mayor or some other high-profile dignitary, you'd be on your best behavior at all times, but some people don't get the memo, as they say. Now, I'll admit this is not from a big town. It's a small town mayor, but even so. Fox 12 reports, KPTV, mayor of Rufus, Oregon, charged with attempted murder after a road rage shooting. The mayor of Rufus, Oregon, is in custody after allegedly shooting at a family of 4 during a road rage incident on Monday evening. This is from the Hood River County Sheriff's Office. According to officials, the family was traveling south around 8:45 on Highway 281, falling behind an SUV that was driving erratically, an erratically driven SUV. The SUV then abruptly pulled over in the 6,000 block of Highway 281. Deputies say the family slowed down because they wanted to get a description of the driver so they could report to the authorities that there's this erratically driven SUV out there. They might want to know about that. But as they passed the vehicle, the suspect stepped out of the passenger side and fired multiple rounds from a handgun at the family. Now, they later identified the suspect as Dowen Jones of Rufus. Dowen, D-O-W-E-N, Dowen. I could be mispronouncing it. For that, I apologize. The incident resulted in damage to the family's car. Authorities said neither the 2 adults nor the 5- and 8-year-old child in the car were injured. So nobody was injured. But there was some damage to the car. Presumably it got hit. Jones was identified Tuesday and was arrested in Rufus by deputies with the Sherman County Sheriff's Office. He was lodged into the Northern Oregon Regional Corrections in the Dallas on 1 count of attempted murder and 4 counts of first-degree attempted assault. And, of course, we know what attempted murder is. And assault is, generally speaking, when somebody, attacks you. And so an attempted assault is when somebody tries to attack you. And of course, it's going to vary wildly from state to state because in many places, if you point and pull the trigger, that would be an assault because somebody did do something like that. But I guess if they missed in Oregon, it's an attempted assault. But quite often an assault can be an attempted battery. Simply attempting to hit somebody or something can be an assault. But again, it varies wildly from state to state. There you go. Fox 12 reached out to the city of Rufus for comment. City said they are not providing comment at this time. Now, here's the thing. The city of Rufus ain't that big. It ain't that big. It's small. How small is it? Oh, it's real small. I've got no jokes for you. I'm not going to. Rufus is a city in Sherman County, Oregon, according to Wikipedia. The population was 249 as of the census in 2010. 249 people lived there. And the good people of Rufus voted this man to be their mayor. In case you're curious where they got their name from, the city was named for an early settler named Rufus Carroll Wallace. Carroll, C-A-R-R-O-L. And Carroll, by the way, used to be a man's name, much like Carroll O'Connor, for instance. The same way that Shirley used to be a man's name. Many people don't know this. Some older folks will know this, but for instance, Preston Tucker's father's first name was Shirley. His last name was Tucker. Shirley Tucker was Preston Tucker's father. It wasn't until Shirley Temple came along and popularized Shirley as a girl's name or a woman's name. So Rufus Carroll Wallace was the early settler in the area. It was later then named Rufus, in the town of Rufus. Population 249, has a mayor who got locked up, spent some time in the clink, as they say. And it's unclear when, for instance, he may or may not be, examined at a preliminary exam, if they'll have one, or if there'll be a trial, or what's going to happen. We also don't know, and I will admit to you, I'm a skeptic at times. When I hear stories where people say, nothing happened, and all of a sudden somebody flipped out, I'm not saying the family did anything to deserve getting shot at. I'm just curious to know what preceded this. Because if a car is being driven erratically and then it pulls over to the side of the road, it may just be that the family slowed down to get a look and the guy got offended by that. That's possible. That's possible. I can tell you that I've been driving before and seen somebody driving so erratically that I called the police. But I also can tell you that I had a dispatcher tell me, well, thank you. We'll send a car over there as quickly as we can, but the odds of us catching them are pretty slim. And I once lived in a small town where I actually knew some of the police officers, and I phoned one in, and I talked to the police officer a couple days later, and he goes, we checked the guy's address based on the license plate you gave us, and we went there, and sure enough, the guy had gotten home, closed the door, and wouldn't answer the door for us. And so obviously nothing became of that. I can also tell you that back when I towed a car to the city of Birmingham, there was somebody who ran a car into a telephone pole and then walked home because they lived about 100 yards away. And they were probably drinking because they wouldn't answer the door for the police, but they did show up at the police station the next day and say, oh, were you guys knocking on my door last night? Oh, it didn't even occur to me. Oh, well, here I am. What can I do for you? Oh, my car being lodged against the telephone pole at the end of the street, that's a problem? Oh, okay, I guess you better give me a ticket for leaving the scene of a property damage accident then, which beats a ticket for anything else compared to what they could have been written for. And I can also tell you that earlier in my career, I actually handled quite a bit of other stuff. Criminal cases, drunk driving cases, traffic cases, you name it, I handled it. And I can think of at least two cases of mine where someone calls me and said, hey, Steve, you're a friend, referred me to you. Can you handle my first offense drunk driving case? And I only handled first offense drunk driving case. I did not handle seconds. I didn't handle thirds. In Michigan, a third, you can go to prison. Second is still harsh. But I figure, something, I'll handle the firsts, okay? So I handled a few firsts. And on more than one occasion, two that I can think of, possibly more, I said, I'm just curious, tell me the story about what happened. And on two of the occasions, the person said, I was someplace, one was at a gas station, I think one was at like a party store or something, and went in, interacted with the cashier, and left, and the cashier called the cops and said, someone just came in here, they're so drunk they shouldn't be driving. And now the weird part is that I've had people tell me they got pulled over and they had done nothing wrong. Police officer got lucky because I was driving perfectly. Now, we've also met those people who are drinking who don't understand that they're yelling when they think they're whispering. So I understand that there's a lot of slack there. We have to really build into the equation when somebody says, I was driving perfectly, and then they blew something like way off the charts, right? And so, but I had two people tell me that, yeah, I went into the store or the gas station, interacted with somebody, I left, that person called the police. Because on both these occasions, the police officer said, I got a phone call regarding you by a total stranger who said you were just in their store so drunk they were scared that you were on the road. Okay? And in both those instances, they failed the field sobriety tests, they failed the breathalyzers, they failed the data, everything. They failed everything. Failed everything. And so it's one of those things where if you call it in, it might help, but there's no guarantee that it will help. But here, they just saw the car being driven erratically. They're not sure what that's all about. Could be a drunk driver. Could be a person in distress, by the way. Person could be having a medical emergency. You never know. So they're going to call that in, and instead the guy allegedly jumps out, starts blasting away, So I'm not sure how those people in Rufus, Oregon, all 249 of them, keep in mind that the mayor's one of them, so how the other 248 people in Rufus are going to feel that their mayor goes out and does these kinds of things if, in fact, he did them. It's all alleged. But if nothing else, it certainly is an interesting story. So I will stay on top of this story to the best of my ability. So if the mayor of Rufus has a preliminary exam or enters a plea or has a trial, I will do my best to update you on what happens. But as of right now, the mayor of Rufus, Oregon, population 249, has been charged with attempted murder after a road rage shooting, as reported by Fox 12 staff KPTV. And it was sent to me by Steve. The Steve, not me. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Have you noticed that the and IRS spell theirs?